Hi guys, welcome back to Plow and Pantry and welcome to the very end of March Canning Madness. If you're not sure what March Canning Madness is, that's a collaboration put on by Constance over at Cosmopolitan Cornbread. I'll link her channel below. She has a playlist of all the videos that are participating. And I also put all my canning videos in my own canning playlist that I'll link for you somewhere in an iCard as well. Today I decided to try something new to commemorate the end of March Canning Madness. I came across this recipe for Riesling pickled radishes. And I love pickled radishes. I like in taco pickles. I made a video about taco pickles. I like them in salads, not too peppery. I think that's why I like if they're pickled. It kind of takes out some of the pepper. But I was like, well, that sounds interesting, but what would I use it on? So I did some research. People suggest using them on just as snacks, like using them plain as snacks, just snacking straight out of the jar. I was thinking I like to make snack plates for lunch sometimes, which is just like, I'll put like nuts, salami, cheese cubes, a fruit, vegetable dip, something like that. I could put some of these on that. Some people like to put it on their charcuteries. A pickled item is a great balance on a charcuterie board against all the rich flavors of the meats and the cheeses and the nuts that are just, more heavy. The sour pickling type stuff brings it together. People suggest putting them in salads, using it as a burger topping or a sandwich condiment. And I was thinking it might also be good chopped up smaller and put in, like mixed in with potato salad. Anyways, if you've made these before and you have an idea of how to use them, put it in the comments below. What I thought I would do today is make them with you. And then tomorrow, because they have to sit overnight, as all canning stuff does, tomorrow I will taste them and let you know what I think. Of course, I will tack that onto this video. You're not waiting for another one tomorrow. But at the end of this video, I'll be tasting it to let you know what I think of them because it's a brand new thing to me. I got this recipe from a 4 Jars canning recipe book. It's like a $5, I think it's $4.95 download, an ebook from their website. I can link that for you as well. But I started off with 2 pounds of radishes and I sliced these up with my food processor to make it go really fast. And they're nice, thin, like 1/4 inch or smaller slices. And the first part of this takes some salt and water and you sit it in here and put it in the fridge. The other ingredients you need are Riesling wine, because they're Riesling pickled, white wine vinegar, whole cloves and whole allspice, and whole peppercorns. Just a random tip for you. I had the spice grinder and I did not want to buy, I didn't have any other peppercorn medley. It's supposed to be a mix. I didn't want to buy a whole separate package and I couldn't get the top off of this to just use these. I did some research and if you just blow dry it, that's what I did for like 30 seconds. Blow dry, turn it so it blow dries all the way around and the warmth kind of softens up the plastic and it pops right off. So there's that. And then the last thing we need is sugar. So I have just a little bit. So I have my sugar ready. I'm going to get the salt. Remember, you want to use either pickling salt or kosher salt because you don't want the additives in it or the things that will discolor things. I'm going to get the salt and the water on here. And I wanted to show you before I get these in my canner that I'm using 1/2 pint jars mostly. I have 3 of the 1/2 pint, that's 8 ounce jars. And I'm going to do 2 of the 1/4 pint or 4 ounce jars because I thought if they were good, my mother-in-law and my dad might like them and they both live alone. So they don't probably need a full jar or they can make great gifts or what have you. So I have lids in my thing. I've got rings, I've got jars, and I'm going to get the salt and water onto the radishes and get them in the fridge for 1 to 2 hours. The next step is to drain and rinse the radishes. You're supposed to refrigerate them for between 1 and 2 hours. I was like an hour and 15 minutes. I did stir. You are supposed to stir every now and then. I think I stirred it twice. I was not really timing or anything or trying to be exact. So I'm getting these into a colander. Get them rinsed off in cold water. It did kind of soften them a little bit. They taste very lightly salty. Now it's time to make the brine. This recipe is a lot like pickles. In fact, it's a lot like the bruschetta recipe that I made a few days ago. I'll link that if you haven't watched it, where you're going to pack the radishes into a jar, and then you're going to make this brine that boils and pour the brine over it in the jar. Same way you do pickles. Starting with 1 3/4 cups of Riesling. And I'm going to add a cup of white wine vinegar. Let me pop this off so it pours easier. 1 3/4 cups. No, this is 1 cup. We're on the vinegar here. If you hear my canner going here, I've got the jars in there getting hot and sterilized. This is a water bath recipe, so it does have to do that. Okay, now 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3. Get this starting to heat here. 2 tablespoons of the peppercorns. These are a mixed blend. If you just had regular black ones, I'm sure it would be fine. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of that. And then 10 whole cloves. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Every time my mom would cook with these growing up, her and my dad would put one in their mouth to suck on. I kind of do that now too. I don't know why. It's not really bad or good. Okay, a half teaspoon of whole allspice. So we will bring this up to a boil and then cover it and let it simmer, reduce the heat and let it simmer for 15 minutes. Okay, my brine is almost done. So I'm going to get the radishes into the jars here. And these are going to get a 1/4 inch headspace. And again, we want to pack them in real tight because once they are starting to can in that liquid, they really will pack themselves even tighter and kind of float to the top and leave a lot more liquid than you think they have on the bottom. 1/4 inch, that's more of a 1/2 inch. I think radishes are one of the prettiest vegetables. They're not like my favorite vegetable. I like them, but they're not by far my favorite vegetable. But I do think that they're one of the prettiest, especially in like tacos and things where they're sliced and they just have a real pretty, like delicate looking, just a hint of color. They're just cute, in my opinion. I think that the amount of radishes in this recipe was perfect. I think it's pretty much filling these jars exactly. It was supposed to make 2 pint jars, I think, and I've got 1/2 pints and 1/4 pints here, so it's equal to 2 pints. All right, awesome. Let's get this brine on. The first thing I'm going to do with the brine is actually not pour it over the radishes. I'm going to take the cloves and whole allspice and kind of try to like at least semi-evenly distribute it. The peppercorns, all that stuff. Just to make sure that they are each getting canned with enough of the spice. I don't want one of the jars to be super spicy and one of them to just be briny, you know. It's probably good enough to get started. I'm going to get some liquid into these. I was looking at the amount of liquid in the pot thinking there's no way that's going to be enough for these jars. But because radishes can pack in so tightly with their thin little slices, it's taking barely any to fill the jars. I'm not even doing a full ladle full. I'm going to have brine left over, actually. Okay, I have a feeling after I debubble, I'm going to need to add a little bit more brine. But for right now, this one's too full. I will definitely have to do some rim cleanup. Okay, let's debubble these and see if we need to add more. There's definitely bubbles coming up in these. Definitely a lot of bubbles. I might say this is actually the most bubbly thing I have ever, as far as air bubbles, that I have ever canned. I don't think I've ever seen that much come up. Let's see, I'm going to need more. I don't think I need that anymore. A little bit more brine here. And there. Yeah, I have a little bit of brine left over. But I think I'm at a quarter. I'm a quarter on all of these. All right. Let's get these rims cleaned up. Got my vinegar here. So far, the radishes I had pulled out like just to snack on right here, they do not have, you wouldn't know there's wine in it. Like there's no wine flavor. I'm sure it contributes to the overall flavor, but I can't pick it out on its own. It's not a very alcohol-y flavor, I guess. Lid's on. Rings fingertip tight. And let's get these over to the canner. My vinegar in there. If you've been with me a while, you know that I like to put my extra vinegar from the rims in my water. I have very hard water here. It helps the jars come out clean and not have that white powder all over them. Okay. All right, and then these, once the water starts boiling, I'll start my timer. I need to process these for 15 minutes. It's 10 minutes if you're below 1,000 feet. I'm just above, so it's 15 minutes for me. And that starts once the water starts boiling. All right, these are finished processing, and I gave them a few extra minutes after I turned off the heat to kind of settle. Get these out. Ooh, they're pretty. Look at that pink color. That is so pretty. I am going to let these sit overnight, and then tomorrow I will taste it and I will put that on this video so that you know what I think of them. You might think something different, but I think a certain way. You know what I think I need to do? I used to use dish drying mats for my canning mats, trying to keep them off the counter and stuff. Manage the heat and the hardness and all that. And I'm having problems finding ones the right size. These have gotten too big, and I don't like, when I find one the right size, it's an ugly pattern. I think I need to sew my own. I might be go looking for fabric and some insulation or whatever this week and sew my own canning mats. Anyways, here are the beautiful, hot radishes. You're kind of in a dark corner, but they're really pretty. Okay guys, moment of truth. I have to admit to being a little bit nervous here because while I love pickled radishes, the whole like allspice and clove thing with it kind of reminds me of like Christmas baking, and I'm just not sure it goes. but I really wanted to try. I will tell you and warn you ahead of time that a lot of these types of vegetables, when you cook them, do not smell fabulous. This included. Up close, it smells fine, but I opened the jar and was like, ooh. Not in a bad, like rotten way, just in the way of like, you know, roasting broccoli doesn't smell great, but it tastes good. All right, here we go. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. They actually still have a good amount of crunch still, which I love. I don't love biting into whole peppercorn because there was one attached to that one. These are good. It actually has kind of a mellow pickle flavor to it with just like an undercurrent of something else. That's what the spice does to it. I thought the spice was going to come through a lot stronger. It really comes through like a regular pepper. I swallowed the pepper, hold on. It really comes through like a slightly mellow pickled radish with just like a richer undertone to it instead of just the pickling flavor. It doesn't come off tasting like, what are the spices? The allspice and the clove at all. Just like light hints. That's good. This would be good. We were doing appetizers, like little crackers with like a garlic herb spreadable cheese, you know, like Laughing Cow style, with this on top. Or I like to do the same thing, but instead of using crackers, I'll use like a slice of salami and one of those garlic herb cheeses, and I put this on top. That would be really cute. Put a little sprig of parsley on with it to garnish, and that would be really cute. This would also be good on tacos, burgers. I'd lean more towards the burgers and the tacos, but this one, these are a winner. I'll make them again. And they're still pretty. It has actually been 3 days since I made these. I got busy and almost forgot to record the update. All right, thanks you guys for joining me on this adventure, and I hope that you enjoyed March Canning Madness. Remember to look for the links below to find Cosmopolitan Cornbread's site and her playlist of all videos. And I hope you join me again for future canning escapades, along with other gardening and canning and cooking adventures.